Hello, welcome to the C50 podcast.
Jay, Becca, Bella, and myself all know that mental health is important, and those sitting around this table are either diagnosed with a mental illness or support someone who is.
If you're anything like us, you may be listening to this while you drive, work, clean, or you could be doing many other things. We would encourage you to visit www.c50hope.com, where you can follow up with our podcast and get more help.
We have worked hard to build C50 into a ministry that can reach those affected by someone's struggle with mental health and a deeper illness. We believe that a relationship with Christ is key in finding hope. However, we're not professionals. Think on our words, process them, but never consider us more important than a doctor or therapist you may be working with. We would love to recommend professionals that value all your needs, including medication and therapy, and will also point to Jesus Christ as the center of your life and the way for healing and taking you from hurt to hope.
There are a lot of people that give to C50 that make this all possible. We have people praying, many that give financially, people that donate time or space.
And as an example, we've found a home for the C50 podcast, generously donated for us at McQueen Builders in the South Hills of Pittsburgh, PA. Let's call this McQueen Studios. And this is where we pick up today.
All right, welcome to the C50 podcast, and we are back at McQueen Studios, and we are excited to be here because today is Bella's story. She is 1/4 of the C50 podcast. Bella, how old are you?
I am 17.
I have it as 16 on the website,
yeah.
And so that's wrong.
You know what? You're right. I saw that the other day. I'm like, oh, we need to update that.
Yeah, and you are and we'll get into this, but you're a junior.
Yes.
That's so crazy. I thought you were a senior. You know.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
She probably wishes she was a senior.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
To be
She's
over.
ready to be done.
Yeah. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we've had some good feedback with the C50 podcast and what we've been doing, and we keep trying to get better and better and change things around, and so Bella is our third podcast, and we want to jump right into the story and just let everyone know that we're excited to see what God has done in Bella's story. Bella, we want to hear your story, and although you're not super old and have years of experience of life, you have a story that in many ways separates you from people that maybe do have years of just maybe, I don't know if you would say normal, but just like the experiences that you have had have given you experience in life, and
yeah.
You know, and so tell us a little bit, just back up and just tell us how you grew up, what it was like, and then just bring us slowly into when things started to get difficult, and then we'll just sort of unravel from there, you know, and sort of talk about it.
Okay, so growing up, I think I was a relatively happy child. I had a good relationship with my parents. I had a great relationship with my brother sometimes.
I saw him at Chick-fil-A yesterday, and man, he was awesome.
And even though I wasn't diagnosed as I was diagnosed when I was around 12 years old. So growing up, I didn't think that there was anything wrong, but I definitely struggled with what I thought was just worry or nervousness with mainly either sleeping or going to different places or going to school or some sort of change. I think we noticed was extremely difficult for me. But
okay, so Bella, I already want to interject here. You're saying that at what age are you already starting to notice that change is difficult, things like that, sleeping? When did you start to notice that?
Oh, I'd love to hear this, because I know when I noticed it, but I'm curious as to when you did.
That's a really, really hard question, because it's not that'd definitely be a better question for my mom, but I'll answer it. I think, personally, I've always, as far back as I can remember, it's always been
You've never
something.
known it. You've never known it. Oh, wow. Wow.
I've never known anything different. So, Mom.
So for me, when it really started hitting home was when she was in preschool. So there were things that they were doing, say in preschool, or videos that they were showing them in preschool. Say it was Fire Prevention Week. And, the firemen come into your preschool and, educational about what to do with a fire. And they showed a video. And this video seriously affected Bella, to the point where I literally had to go to the fire station, meet with the fire chief, watch the video so I could understand what was going on. But nobody else in her class was really affected like Bella was affected. So at such an early age, the littlest things would just spin Bella out of control, where she started becoming anxious and worrying about it, and started affecting her daily life and affecting her sleeping, something as simple as watching a fire prevention video. So at that age, starting in preschool, I noticed that things affected her and so much deeper than it did most other kids. But then where it really kind of hit home was, in her pediatrician even noticed it when she was, say, 5. So getting Bella to go to school, she was always one of those kids, never wanted to go to school, and the first couple weeks of school were always difficult. She always seemed to find a way to work through it, but even at the age of 5, I remember her pediatrician saying to me, I think, your daughter is an anxious child. You may want to consider having her talk to somebody. And at the time, Bella's dad and I were like, oh, she'll grow out of it. She's fine. She'll get through it. Didn't even notice that there was something going on, but didn't think it was anything we needed to address.
This is really interesting, because from my experience, I was I think Becca said, I think I was 24. She reminded me, before I was diagnosed.
Okay.
Learned right after that especially with borderline, that went way back to when I was a child,
right.
Bella's age, when she was dealing with this, right? Not 17 Bella,
Mm-hmm.
Young Bella, like we're talking about.
Right.
But I wasn't diagnosed until I was 24. And a lot of times people are diagnosed even later than Bella. Like they start to notice signs and like they start to get into it. So this is early, and some people might relate to this and go, oh yeah, absolutely, that was me. And other people might say, well, I started to notice it when I was in high school or college. So it comes on at different times, right?
Without a doubt. So if it's you that's going through this, I think it's definitely something you need to start paying attention to. But if you're a mom or dad out there and you notice that you have a young child and he or she seems to be struggling with going to school, or just different aspects of life that no one else seems to be struggling with, you just really need to start paying attention to those early warning signs. Because, if this is something you can kind of get a hold on while they're younger, it can make a huge difference in their treatment and the therapy, and getting them on the right track earlier. I know for Bella and I, and I'm sure Bella can jump in here, we thought it was a huge blessing that Bella was diagnosed and we had a better understanding of this at such an early age. Am I right?
Yeah, 100%. I hear of a lot of people that get diagnosed when they're in college or in high school, and I was diagnosed when I was still in elementary school. So I was already put on the medication that was working for me. So when I do end up struggling again, we know exactly what to do, which is it was awesome because we already know what coping skills worked for me. We already knew basically everything that worked for me. So it wasn't something that I had to learn later on in life when things were more stressful.
Yeah, and man, we could talk about this. I really don't want to talk about this too much longer because I want to get back to Bella's story. But as a parent, I just think it's so awesome that you guys addressed this at a young age. You
Well,
know?
to be honest with you, Joe, we really had no choice in the sense that, just to jump ahead in Bella's story, when Bella was 12, her life came to a screeching halt. And honestly, we had to address it. We handled it wrong. And that's why I'm hoping that there's parents out there listening. We handled it wrong. There were so many warning signs along the way, and we just kept saying, she's going to grow out of it. She's going to grow out of it. And then once she hit 12, her life truly came to a screeching halt, and we had no choice but to address it.
Well, let's get to it. So you, I'm sorry that we jumped around there for a little bit, but
It's all good.
so you started to experience these things. I mean, your mom's talking about, fire prevention, and I mean,
I still remember that video.
I'm the same way. I got things that are connected to borderline, that when I was 5,
Right.
still affect me.
Yeah.
To this day, I'm like working through it with a therapist.
Right.
I mean, it's
crazy.
like it's crazy.
Yeah.
So like, I get it. I get it. But okay, so you started to experience this stuff. When did it start to affect life? Because that's usually when people start to go, oh, there's something going on because I can't hold it all together. It's not manageable for me. Something is happening. I'm falling apart, whatever. So when did things start to take that turn initially? And I know that we're going to talk about this, how there was multiple times.
Yeah.
But just initially, when was it and how did it happen and what was it like when things really just got out of control?
So I was at the time 11. It was my 6th grade year. We were just on break for Thanksgiving. So we were off for like a few days. And the day we had to go back to school, I woke up and I was just like, I can't go. It wasn't physically that I couldn't go, just mentally there was like this blockage that I just could not go to school. I could not get dressed. I would lock myself in my room. And I didn't know why. It was because I'm a very social, I like school. So it's very...
She had friends. She had no issues at school that as a parent you would say, okay, is somebody bullying you or is there something going on? There was nothing going on. There was no reason. She was a good student. It just didn't make any sense. But she mentally just could not get there.
So tell us, I'm sorry, tell us what separates a majority of people that go on Thanksgiving break and go, oh man, it's a Monday. I don't want to go back. And, your mom, right, Karen, you're going,
Suck it up.
Suck it up. I mean, it's Monday. We go back to school.
Right?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Get dressed. Let's go.
And it's literally so bad that you're locking the door. You can't get dressed. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, something flipped.
Yeah. Like, I think the difference is I was on the floor and I physically was perfectly fine, but I physically could not move. Like, I was almost like I was paralyzed by fear. Not almost like I was. I was 100% paralyzed by fear. And the most frustrating part is I didn't know what I was afraid of. I had no idea why this was happening. It was like I was locked in my own body and I had no idea what was happening. So I think the difference between, like, even to this day, like, I get up, I'm like, ugh, Monday, don't want to go to school.
Right.
But that's completely different from locking myself in my bedroom, crying, shaking on the floor, cannot get up and move. Like, my mom, my dad had to pull me out of bed, like, physically, just like, they're like, you have to go to school. Because it was like, I mean, yeah, they didn't think that they just thought I just didn't want to go to school.
And so you didn't think so. You pull her out of bed. And then
it was a little rough.
Yeah, right. And but you make her go to school? I mean,
We did.
Okay,
Again, as I've said, and I will say it again, we handled this horribly.
Yeah.
We totally were not good parents and
Initially,
handled it completely
right.
wrong in the beginning. Yes, because we have never experienced somebody that was diagnosed, say, with a mental illness.
Right.
We didn't get it. We honestly had no clue. We were just like, what is your deal? Get over it. This is something you have to do. Get dressed. Let's go.
And it's one of those things where, like, I understand. Like, a lot of people I feel like would be mad. Like, at the time, yeah, I was really mad at them. But now it's like, I get it. And I've never been mad or, like, held that against them, which, I mean, because I can't. So I just want to put that out there.
Yeah.
I love my parents.
Yeah. FYI. Okay, so this is like the first. Would you say that this is like episode? I mean, does that sound? I don't know if that sounds right, but is this the first time that you go? Let's say this. This is when, if you go back and say, when did this start, or the first time, this is it, after Thanksgiving. Like, I mean, that was like your first.
Yeah, I think
thing.
that's the first time we really knew, okay. Well, I really knew, like, this is something completely wrong. But I remember, like we said, going back, I've had these episodes before. Like, but they were mainly at night when I couldn't sleep.
I would say there would be little, like, hiccups along the way, if you will. But where it really came to a head was after Thanksgiving, because then it became a daily occurrence. It wasn't like it was once every so often.
It happened every single day.
And I remember us thinking, okay, Christmas break is 3 weeks away. Let's just get to Christmas. I don't know why I was thinking that was going to make it better or something. But let's just get to Christmas and start trying to just come to terms with this and really starting to work through it. And that span of that month between Thanksgiving and Christmas was a nightmare. It was truly a nightmare. And that was before we even really said, okay, we need to see a therapist. So
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bella.
Well, what grade was this in?
Sixth grade.
Sixth grade. Okay. And you're in a junior now, so
Yes.
I mean, really, not that long ago.
Not
No.
at all.
No.
Not at all. No,
Okay.
4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, that's crazy. Okay, very good. Okay, so what was? You go to school, and you're fighting to get her to school every day, Karen.
Every single day.
Every day. What was? Tell us. Okay, I'm so interested in the whole school thing. Mm-hmm. Beck and I homeschool, and so we just don't deal with that. I went to public school. Becca went to a private school, but a Christian school. But I'm really interested in this. So your mom drops you off at school or whatever. You get on the bus or whatever. You end up at Chartiers, Houston.
Yes.
Love that school. I love that school because, and I could totally be wrong. This is a little side note, but they did some things to memorialize Connor.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I thought that was really cool. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, it's a small school, like you said, and they, this wonderful kid that passed away, and I feel like that school handled it right. So I got a lot of respect for that school.
Yeah.
No, honestly, that school, Chartiers Houston, came alongside Bella, and they were honestly part of Bella's support system during the 6th grade year, and then again when she relapsed. But they were instrumental in getting her back on track. I can't say enough good things about them and how they handled the whole process.
Well, let's just hear about it. I mean, so what was it like? Your mom says, go to school. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling crazy.
Yeah.
What was school like? Because we have people, but this is so awesome that we have somebody on the C50 team that's 17 that can reach young folks that are in school that might be feeling this way. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is really cool. So what was school like when mom drops you off and says, go to school, and later we find out that's because you have a panic disorder?
Yeah.
You know?
So I would have to ride the bus at the time. So getting on the bus was a huge struggle. I'd cry on the bus all the way there.
Ugh.
And it was just one of those things where it was like, Like my bus driver was like, all right. Because I've had the same bus driver since I was in kindergarten. So it's a very common thing, me crying on the bus to go to school. So I think she was honestly used to it. And then once I was at school, at the beginning, it was just getting there. Once I was there, I was like, all right, I'm good. My teachers were good. Like, they didn't ask me questions. Like, it was perfectly fine. We just kind of went about our day until,
Christmas break. After Christmas
Yeah.
break, she never went back. We couldn't get her to go back. So we made it to Christmas, and then we couldn't get her to go back to school.
Let me ask you this. When Christmas break rolls around, let's say that you're at Thanksgiving and mom says push through, you're crying, going to school, blah, blah, blah. The first day of Christmas break, do you feel great?
no.
So this was going on.
Well, it started spilling over to other areas of her life, and that's when Ray and I really realized, okay, we need to do something about this. It got to the point where Bella didn't want to leave the house. She wouldn't go to her grandparents. She wouldn't go to McDonald's. She wouldn't go anywhere. So that's when Ray and I said, okay, we need to get her hooked up and start seeing a therapist. And so I think the first time she saw her therapist was either during Christmas break or maybe the first week that she should have been going back to school, but we weren't able to get her there.
And one thing I do remember, like, vividly about Christmas break, because my birthday is 2 days after Christmas. So, like, Christmas was supposed to be, like, a really fun time, and, like, you're supposed to be, like, celebrating the whole weekend. I wasn't. And I remember I was supposed to have a birthday party, but we had to cancel it because I was like, no one can come over. Like, I didn't want people coming over. Like, I was locked myself in my bedroom. My mom had to call everyone, say, like, sorry, the party's canceled. I was sick.
Right. And at that time, without us knowing what was going on and not really being aware of mental illness and honestly, I'm just going to be real, kind of being not embarrassed, but almost like not wanting to say, okay, there's something going on with my daughter mentally. And Bella honestly didn't want anybody to know anything at that time either, because I think she was afraid of what people would think. We lied. I mean, we truly just lied to people, saying, Bella was sick. Or we were supposed to go to a friend's house for New Year's Eve, and a friend that we always went to. And just straight up lied, Bella's not feeling well, can't get there.
Right.
So if you're not, it can be hard in the beginning for those that are diagnosed and for the parents. If you're not familiar or know somebody else that struggles with a mental illness, it can be difficult, number one, to come to terms with it, to be okay with it, and to be honest with it, honest to yourself and honest to others, because I think we can get so caught up sometimes in being afraid of what other people are going to think of us. Then we either end up hiding or lying. And let's be honest, Bella, I'm sure you can attest that makes it even worse to heal if you're not willing to share and talk.
Yeah, I think the beginning of my healing process was when I started telling people, because I felt when I was hiding things from, like, my friends, I felt worse when they would ask questions. Like, I would feel like they were judging me. But when I came to terms with the fact that, no, they weren't judging me, they cared, it helped me heal a lot.
This is what C50 really wants to be, because hearing stories of redemption and hearing stories like that and just honesty is what we want people to understand. Like we want to be a place that says, okay, it was terrible. We were lying about stuff, and we didn't feel close to Jesus. But in the end, we learned that people did care, or we learned how to be honest. And then medically, and we're not experts here, we're not doctors. We didn't go to school for this, but we have experience where we say medically this got better and this changed, and ultimately it led to a closer relationship with Jesus Christ. So I just want to interject that and say that's what C50 wants to be, is a place where we can be honest and say, we were lying to people. I mean, we didn't know how to do this. Like, and how many, like, I haven't read that many books that talk about mental illness and mental health. But today it's mental illness. We're talking about Bella's story. I haven't read too many stories where people talk about that kind of stuff. They talk about their hurt and their pain, but parents don't talk about, oh yeah, we were scared, we were hiding it, we don't know what to do, and it's like that's 101 mental health, how to address the fact that you are diagnosed or that you have something.
Right.
And I don't hear a lot about that, because it's probably because it's difficult.
Well, I think it's definitely difficult. And honestly, say from Ray and I's perspective, we didn't necessarily want to we didn't feel it was necessarily our place at first to share Bella's story. It's Bella's story. So we needed Bella to be okay with where she was right now and who she was right now. And we needed Bella to be honest with herself and honest with others, so she would be okay with us doing the same. Does that make sense? Like, even though Bella was 11 or 12, we felt like she kind of we obviously needed to help her and come alongside of her, but she needed to take the lead in being honest with herself and others as to what was going on. So, but I know, just jumping ahead slightly, we got Bella, set up in with her therapist, and she was fantastic. This therapist was awesome for Bella at this point in her life. But right out the gate, she wanted Bella to go on medication. Because Bella, her panic attacks were so often and so frequent, she didn't feel that Bella could use the coping mechanisms that she was teaching her because she was having way too many panic attacks. So she was recommending that Bella get on medication to kind of help with the panic attacks, so then she could start utilizing what the therapist was teaching her how to handle them. But again, going back to Ray and I, the struggle we had, I mean, we kind of, we try to live a holistic life. So putting our daughter on medication that we knew she would be on every single day for who knows how long, we struggled with that. I mean, Bella, do you remember? I mean, we had such a hard time. We just so desperately wanted her just to kind of work through it on her own, but she couldn't.
Well, and that's what I think we've talked about this, and we just want to be clear that at C50, we believe that you may need medication. And so we are not against medication. But medication can really be, sometimes you need it on a long-term basis. I take bipolar medication, and I don't think, I've been told I'm not really ever going to be off of it.
Right.
But in other circumstances, medication is used to get people to a place of stability where then they can learn coping mechanisms, like you're saying, and then get off the medication. So it's not like a forever thing. So you got on medication, Bella?
Yeah, I was on medication, and my life basically went on hold. I was stuck either in my house or my grandma's house. I wasn't going anywhere. I was on medication. I wasn't doing anything, just to kind of give my brain a break, pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah.
And giving her time for that medicine
to kick in.
And as you know, Jay, or maybe parents out there listening where they're contemplating if this is something they need to consider for their child, it's a process. You're not okay the very next day. And I think that was something like, you think, okay, I'm on medication now, life is good. No, you have to figure out the right dosage, and you have to build that up in your system. And sometimes you have to figure out what medication may work for you. So even though Bella's sitting here saying, yeah, I was on medication, she was still struggling as we
Yeah.
were working through that process and getting the medication to the point where she needed to be.
So Bella, this goes on for a while, and you get on medication. And tell us a little bit about what happened, and you moved out of this. Things started to get better, and take us through sort of the what happened after, and then maybe take us into the next period of your life where this shows up again.
So I was put on, like you said, put on medication, and then it took a few months for me to really get back on my feet, for me to not have a panic attack every single day. And then I eventually finished out that school year going to school all day, which was a huge victory. Then I was still on my medication for 2 years. And then we thought, because I'm doing good, haven't had a panic attack in years, don't need this. So I started slowly getting off, and
With the help of a doctor?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was meeting with a therapist.
Well, you were meeting with a therapist probably still weekly at this point, even though she was doing great. But she was also seeing a psychiatrist who was managing her medication.
Right. And
Yeah.
so whenever, like someone like me, people with bipolar that take medication just for like life,
Right.
they say that a lot of times people with bipolar try to get off their medication, and bad idea, right?
Horrible
And
idea. You should not do that yourself.
especially yourself, right?
Right.
And so if you go to your therapist and go, "Hi, I'm bipolar and I want to get off my medication," they're going to go, "You're crazy." Like, well, they won't say you're crazy.
I know.
Yeah, right. If they told me, I'd be like, okay, yeah. But
I've heard that before.
They're gonna say probably like, okay, let's think about that, and maybe not really do that. But so you wanted to get off of it, and you
Yeah.
thought everything was cool, and you worked with a therapist
Yep.
or a psychiatrist, medication, and got off the medication.
Yeah, and honestly, that was a goal. Like, she was excited
Oh, okay.
that I was getting off my medication, that I didn't need anymore. And I went 2 years. And yeah, I did have some little blips, but it wasn't like before. I could move past it. I could still use the coping skills, and then I was fine. It was like another day. And then sophomore year came, and that's when it started coming back very frequently.
And sophomore year is 2 years ago.
Last year.
Oh, golly,
You
sophomore.
keep thinking she's a savior.
I know. Yeah, golly. Okay, so last year.
Yep.
Probably about a year ago at this time.
Now, I know a little bit about this story.
Okay.
And I love what you said here. You guys were in New York.
Oh, God. Yes.
And I just love this part of the story. So just tell us very quickly.
Okay, so
What happened?
Here I am, right, thinking Bella turned 16. Her birthday's in December. So for her 16th birthday, I take myself, take Bella and two of her friends to New York City.
Okay.
So again, all is well, right?
Yeah.
We're literally in New York City in Rockefeller Center.
Yep.
And Bella has a full out panic attack in the middle of New York City and just takes off.
Where did you go?
Times Square.
By yourself?
It's like,
Well, we're like running after her. Like I remember thinking and looking at her friends and saying, "Go, run! You gotta keep up with her." So, because again, just knowing this, we became complacent with Bella's therapy and Bella's treatment because we're thinking life is good, all is well. And at this point, it had been like a year or two since a real panic attack. I forgot how to handle it.
Yeah,
I went back to the same old, oh my gosh, what do I do? And I did not handle it properly. Bella which made her panic attack even worse. And she was just like, I'm out.
I need to escape.
Right. She needed to escape and took off.
This is just off topic.
Now, here I am in New York City with three young girls. And it was
And where were
horrible.
you headed?
I don't know. Just away from all that.
My gosh.
Yeah.
So that's when it all began again.
What's so funny about you, Bella, is I just gotta tell people, if you don't know Bella, you're like just the sweetest girl.
Not in the middle of a panic attack. Let me tell
Yeah,
you.
right. And then you just like imagine like she's like, "Wah!" Just like flipping
Exactly.
out.
No,
It's
that is
awesome.
definitely, if you have anybody out there has ever known somebody to go through a panic attack, they truly become a different person.
Well, I want to talk about that. Let's do it really quickly. Again, like I just look at you, Bella, and I'm like, she is like the sweetest. There's nothing wrong with her.
Different person.
Different person.
Yeah.
And so tell us, like, I mean, you're in the zone. You're in the panic zone.
Yeah.
And so maybe you don't realize it. So, Karen, you're going to have to speak up.
Oh, yeah.
But you've told me, you said, I say horrible things. I'm mean and whatnot. Just quickly, I mean, we got to move on. So just quickly tell me what that's like.
It's an out of body experience. I completely become not myself. And I'm just angry at the whole situation. I'm anxious, I'm panicking, I'm in this like box-like state, and there's so many emotions going through my head, especially the time in New York, because I was like, I ruined the trip. Like, it was just constantly like these constant thoughts that it's all my fault. And I'm angry at the situation, but I take it out on so many other people. And I can tell you so many people that have told me, like, they get scared when they see me go into a panic attack. Because it's scary for me, but it's also extremely scary for people to see.
And Karen, you're on the other end of this, which would, if Becca was here, she would vouch for me and Bella have shared that, and you and Becca would share the other side of it. What do? Someone's like freaking out at you, someone that you love and they love you, but they're in this
The zone of these crazy negative thoughts going through their head.
Right. How do you just go, I love you?
Right. So a lot of times people that are experiencing a panic attack, they're hyperventilating. They have a hard time breathing. So not only do they have all those negative thoughts going through their head, panic attack truly affects you physically. So for me, it's, you almost have to read the panic attack and what type of panic attack it is, but it could either be me saying, okay, let's breathe. We're going to try to breathe through this. But then a lot of times she's so worked up, you can't even get to that point. So then you have to really try to speak truth into her and all the negative thoughts that she's now communicating. Because let's be honest, I say this all the time, but when you have these negative thoughts and you speak those negative thoughts, you bring life to them. So we always try to speak truth over that. I ruined the trip. No, you didn't. Everything's going to be okay. We're going to get through this panic attack and we're going to move forward. So speaking truth and speaking honesty to that person so they can actually they can start hearing it. And the key for somebody experiencing a panic attack, and Bella, please jump in, is you need to start speaking that truth over yourself to help you get through that process.
Yeah, like when I struggled in 10th grade, which is jumping forward a little bit, but I got a new therapist, and with my new therapist, which we'll probably get into more, we talked about all the lies that I would say to myself during those moments, and we wrote out battling truths. And I have them on my phone still, and it's just something that when I was having a panic attack, I would just read those over and over and over again.
But the key to it, I'm sorry, Jay, but the key to it, I think, is not only reading them, but speaking them. When you truly speak properly and speak truth and speak honestly, again, words become life when you speak them. So her speaking truth over herself, I think, helps her get through it. Instead of just saying it in her head, she needs to I would make her speak it.
So your counselor or your therapist that you got, your second therapist in 10th grade, is a Christian counselor?
Yes.
Okay. So you're not just talking about truth that everything is going to be okay, my mom loves me. Are you talking about spiritual truth?
Yeah. Like within there, there'd be Bible verses that spoke truth over the situation. There would be Jesus loves you. Like, Jesus has your back. You're not, one of the biggest things is you're not alone. Because in that moment, you feel so much, you just feel so alone. Like, you're the only one going through this.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest truths that I would constantly tell myself is you're not alone. Because in that, mainly my panic attacks would happen in a car. So in like that very confined space, even with my mom next to me or my brother in the back, like I felt very, very alone.
Bella, take us from New York City in this this kind of experience that you had there. Take us to the new therapist that we were just talking about, and really how things started to move towards a spiritual. I don't want to say healing, but maybe healing and
Aligning.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. I think that's good. Okay, yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
So New York was like my first full-blown panic attack in years. And then after that, it was like fine. Like I was going to school, like it was fine. And then once again, we went away to Disney World.
Oh, you had a little blurt. Remember March for Life?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
It seemed to happen when we were out of the state.
Yeah. March for Life.
Just with like 100,000 people.
Yeah. March for Life had another one. Disney World had multiple.
Yes.
In different parks. So when we got back, for a while, my mom was saying, Bella, do you want to change therapists? Do you want to change therapists? And I was like, no. Like, I don't like change. I was very comfortable with my therapist. She knew me. She knew my story. Why would I have to change? Like, what was the big deal?
And honestly, she was wonderful, and she was instrumental and helped you tremendously in the healing when you were in 6th grade.
Yeah, she was absolutely incredible.
Right.
But she was not a Christian therapist. And I'm not sure what her beliefs were, but it was definitely, like, it wasn't toward Jesus. So as I was getting older and more mature in my faith, I needed that to be incorporated in my therapy.
Very cool.
So through our church, we found my therapist that I have now, which is a Christian therapist. And she's helped me so much with my mental illness and with coping with that, but also strengthening my relationship with Jesus at the same time, which kind of, like I said, aligns the two. Because you can't do this without bringing Jesus into it and fully being, like, okay with what's happening without Jesus.
I mean, you heard it from Bella. I mean, that's beautiful.
Well, I think a lot of people can struggle, and Bella, you can talk about this, but I think a lot of people that maybe are struggling with either a mental illness or mental health, it's the same line. Why would God allow this to happen to me? Why is this happening to me? And people struggle with that. They really struggle with when someone starts, becomes diagnosed, they get mad at God. Maybe they blame him, or they're angry with him. But how did you, Bella? How did you spin that around to not be angry, but because of your relationship with him, realized how much he could help you? Like, how did you do that?
Throughout my experiences, I saw so many people that struggled with either it be mental illness or mental health or just anxiety in general. I saw that a lot. And I saw that through my story, I could help people, which I think it really helped my relationship with Christ, because then I realized, all right, quit. I need to stop asking, why would you do this? Why would you do this to me? But how can I use this through you to help other people? To asking a different question to him rather than blaming him for something. It was just a change of mindset.
Right. We always have this line that we like to say is finding purpose in your pain. Because we all go through struggles and we all have different points in our life that are low points or painful moments, but you can find purpose through that. You can find healing through that. And through that, you can, by sharing, like Bella has and Bella continues to do, she has truly helped other people. And I think she's found her purpose, if you will, by sharing and talking about her story. I think when Bella that became evident to Bella is the Panama trip. Correct, Bella?
Yeah. Yeah. On that trip, I found out a lot of people that genuinely struggled, people that I've known for years that I didn't.
You would never have any clue.
No,
right?
that they struggled. And I was struggling a lot. Like, that was, like, in the midst of everything. And while I was struggling, I was able to help people struggle too, because they saw that they weren't alone, which was something that I never thought I'd be able to do.
After the second or the relapse, I should say, in 10th grade, you started to find this Christian counselor and found truth and these things that we're talking about. Just, it's awesome. And finding purpose in your pain is awesome. So tell us a little bit about like where you're at now. This was last year. Where are you at right now with your panic disorder? And then lead us into where you're at spiritually. Just so that you can encourage people that are 17 years old or 97 years old. Everyone out there, just say, hey, look, I struggle, and this is where I'm at with Jesus.
Right now, I am still on my medication. It's still something that I have to battle through, sometimes on a daily basis. Sometimes I'll go a day without even thinking about my anxiety, and it's a good day. But it's still a struggle. I haven't had a panic attack in a long time, which has been awesome. But it's still something that I do get anxious still. I do feel them coming on, but it's something I can cope with. It's something that I can control, and I'm able to get to school, able to stay at school, which has been incredible. And I never realized how lucky I am to be able to go to school sometimes. Now I'm very thankful that I can get to school. My relationship with Jesus, it's still growing. It's still in progression. There's some things that I need to work on. But like I always say this to people, he is my best friend. And he's the one person throughout all of this that I can count on. And that's why I want to do this. So I can show people that are struggling that mental illness is very much something that you feel like you can only do on your own. It's your own problem because it's in your head. Like, everything that's happening is your own problem. But that's not true at all. Like, he's your best friend, and he's gonna battle this with you. Thanks for listening today. Again, we have tried hard to share truth authentically, and we hope that this has been a helpful time in your life. To reach us, donate, share your story, and give us feedback on how we can do a better job reaching people that are struggling. Please go to www.c50hope.com.
We leave you with this. Now the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. 2 Corinthians 3:17. And remember, as Jack Miller said, you're far more loved than you ever dare imagine.